All right, everyone. Welcome to this daily Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for Tuesday, August 7th, 2018. All right, so today we have the moon in Taurus, as was the case yesterday. So still likely noticing themes around our resourcefulness. This could be developing our inner resources, such as inner strength, inner stability, self-reliance, self-value, and also external things as well. So cultivating resources in our life so we can have a bit more material security and enjoyment to Earth and everything that she does provide. So with that backdrop, Uranus is going retrograde today for 6 months. This is a normal thing of the year. Once a year for about 6 months, Uranus is retrograde. So time to pause and reflect now in terms of the things that give us a sense of freedom. What gives us a sense of freedom, inspiration, what aligns with our true self, and now going over and mulling over this stuff for the next 6 months. We could notice a pause with that today. All right, and also Venus is trining Mars, so maybe some good synergy in our interpersonal relationships, direct yet receptive. This good balance between the yin and yang aspects of ourself and our interpersonal connections. All right, so let's look at all of this here in more detail when we return. All right, so here's the sky for this Tuesday. Again, we are using what's called true sidereal astrology, which is using the actual size of the constellations as if looking up at the visible sky. So this does change the signs from mainstream astrology. So if you are new to the channel, definitely check out the link down below because the signs do change. All right, so the moon finishing up Taurus here today. The moon exalted here, comfortable place for the moon to be in. The moon does represent our feelings and also represents the theme of the day. So Taurus the bull is about essentially resources, again cultivating our inner ones. We could notice themes regarding that today, and just a good day to do that, right? Cultivating that self-value, inner resourcefulness, even our natural gifts and natural abilities. And as a result, focusing on maybe where we can have material security and connect to the simple pleasures of life, the enjoyments, the things that invoke the senses, right? And do be grateful for everything that we do have on that material realm. So themes and, yep, feeling this way with the moon. So as we get into the very later part of the day, but going into tomorrow, the moon is going to be passing over Orion. So maybe noticing in the later parts a shift into more of the physical aspects of things, how we can start to use maybe our minds and our practical abilities to go after the things that we want, that we're pursuing on a very physical and tangible sort of level. And then as we get into tomorrow, a lot of the Gemini energy, which will be more on using that practical mind and maybe developing a bit of that communication and things that do involve figuring things out. So that's the backdrop in terms of the theme. Now we are approaching a new moon. The new moon will be Saturday, very early Saturday for most of us. And so we are entering slowly the ending phase of this current lunar cycle. So if you are noticing the energy is dying down a bit, I think it's good to sort of acclimate to that, be receptive to that. But we are technically still in the third quarter phase, which is about taking action. So still a great time for setting those initiatives, right? Those intentions and following through with things in terms of whatever has shifted in your life, maybe the past week, week and a half since we had that lunar eclipse. All right, and of course the sun is slowly shifting into Leo, so we could notice more of a focus on our self-expression going into the rest of the week. So gaining vital life force from expressing ourselves, maybe also getting involved with our creative side and just doing things that we find fun and enjoyable, certainly the source of energy. And we're certainly reflecting on this type of stuff right now with Mercury retrograde. So still good to be adaptive and flexible with the day-to-day stuff, and also in terms of what does give us that sense of passion and self-expression. So Venus is in Virgo, still good to be enjoying, taking care of things, doing things in a sort of self-responsible way can be enjoyable. Self-improvement, discipline, work, right? This type of stuff. And really good to be connecting in this way as well with our relationships. Just a bit of that gearing towards self-improvement for ourselves. Now, Mars still retrograde, of course, so still good to be reflecting on what gives us drive and motivation. And, the things we want, taking time with Mars finishing this retrograde of Capricorn. So let's take a look at the aspects, because we do have that Venus trining up to Mars here today. Both these planets, Venus and Mars, do represent our interpersonal relationships and connections. So in a trine like this can be very supportive, where we do feel a bit of a synergy between that receptive side of us, which is Venus, and then also that active side of us and direct side of us, which is Mars. So really good synergy between that direct and receptive aspects of ourselves, particularly in terms of how we're connecting in our relationships. So really good for that. Also really good for confidence in those relationships, as well as mutual understanding, right? Which is the Venus side of it as well. So along with that, Uranus is stationed today. This is a very deep planet. Doesn't represent a very strong sense of our outer personality. It represents much more our deeper personality. So collectively, as a sort of backdrop, there is now this reconsideration for the next 6 months in terms of what gives us freedom in life, what gives us that sense of freedom, and how can we now maybe go back and rethink some things, maybe quite literally restructure some things to allow for more of this freedom in our life. And that freedom is coming through from our true self. Right, Uranus represents that higher aspect of the self, or deeper aspect of the self, however you see that. And so how can we modify things, change things, reflect on things, so that our life is more of a reflection of our true self, which then again, of course, gives us that sense of freedom. And because Uranus has been trining up to Saturn this year, there is good stability with this. So a lot of this could be about taking the slow and steady grounded steps towards cultivating some of these inspiring or aspiring sort of things. All right, so that's the day in a nutshell. Those are the two most important things, and I would say, very important on a weekly sense as well. So good synergy here again with those interpersonal relationships, the yin and yang aspects of the self. If it's not interpersonal, then just feeling maybe a bit of that confidence, maybe a bit of that willingness to take things receptively. And again, enjoy the simple pleasures of life. Venus also is associated with Taurus. Reflecting now over the next 6 months with Uranus, what does give us that sense of freedom, and how can we maybe make some changes or reflect on those changes to allow for that. And the theme of the day, the moon in Taurus as the backdrop, really good for, again, developing our resourcefulness, both on an inner and outer level. All right, so have a great day, everyone. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I will see you all tomorrow for the daily forecast. Take care.